How are you? And thank you for having me. So I've been in investor relations for the last 16 years, 10 years, yeah, for the last 10 years. And my job essentially is connecting the business with investors, and making sure that they understand each other. So understanding what investors require, and telling that story back to my management, and also taking the story from management to investors and making sure that the two are speaking a language they understand and their needs are met. So why do I think MSMEs in the country are struggling? Well, I think when you think of SMEs, you don't really think capital, right? Many a times I've thought of starting my own business, and capital is something that I think comes last. So as many SMEs think of their businesses, it's mostly what problem am I solving? How do I do this? And they're really thinking from a customer acquisition perspective and not so much from a capital acquisition. So even the metrics that they speak about and the way they position their businesses is not so much to attract capital, but rather to attract customers. Um, but over and above that, I think we can speak about the formalization of MSMEs. We know that a majority of our businesses, of small businesses in Tanzania, are not formally registered. And when you're attracting capital, if I'm putting my money somewhere, I want to know that it's a proper setup business. It's not that someone could wake up tomorrow and decide, I don't have the bandwidth to do this, and exit the business. So the formality of it all is also very important. Something else that I think we're struggling with is also the governance, right? So most of the time it's my business and I am the owner, I am the accountant, I am the marketer. If and when I fall sick, then the business stops. If and when I travel, so the business is heavily reliant on the founders, and there are no governance systems. So the founder makes all the decisions, and that scares investors because they need to know how decisions are made. They need to know how accountability is held. And then last but not least, I think it's also the problem. What problem are we solving? So do we do enough research? A lot of MSMEs, as I've thought, have you validated? Is there a business case? Is there, like, what are you trying to achieve? So definitely lots of potential, but we're not speaking the capital language yet. Thank you.
Miss Mwasha, for your great insight. Miss Joanna, can you give us can you maybe advise or tell us what should these SMEs do in order for them to attract investors to invest into their businesses? We've heard Ms. Mwasha saying there are things that these SMEs do not do. They do not know their formalities. They are not formally registered. They hold the business together by themselves. They do not work with any other person sometimes. So what do you think that these SMEs should do in order for them to improve, to attract more investors to invest in their businesses?
Thank you, Agnes, and good evening, everyone. I think Ms. Morsha has mentioned really very key insights but I would take from her and stress on the element of governance, because when you're setting up a business, like she said, you are anticipating that you are going to solve problems. There is something that you're going to give into the community that is going to add value. So one of the things that investors look at is transparency. So they need transparency. They need to understand what structures are built into the system so that they're able to see even if you're bringing value, how are they going to be able to see what are the systems that you have? when it comes to accounting, when it comes to and back to governance, when it comes to what are the right now we have that element of ESG. What are the systems in place when it comes to compliance? How are you complying with the laws when it comes to taxation, when it comes to labor laws, when it comes to sustainability as well? So I think those are key elements that businesses need to put into their everyday governance so that they're able to become investor ready. Because right now we see that even there's a shift from seed funding to investors coming in to invest in private equity. So that means the business already has to be up and running. And in order for the business to be up and running, it has to have all these systems in place. So I think that would be my contribution, to make sure that these MSMEs are ready to be able to attract investment. Because a shift, even as you look at the inflows in Africa for the past year, there has been a transition from seed funding to private equity. So I think companies need to be able to, or organizations and even individuals, they need to be able to set up structures that are going to produce results, but also there has to be proper governance in order for incoming capital to be deployed into the businesses. Yeah, that would be my contribution.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Joanna. I see Mr. Good Hope Mukaro. I have a question for you. Miss Mwasha and Miss Joanna they've told us the issues and key issues which costs the SMEs, and they have provided for solutions for them in order for them to attract more investors. So Mr. Good Hope, sorry. My question is, what do you think? Why do many Tanzanians prefer investments such as real estate, treasury securities, and listed shares instead of investing directly in businesses? We've already heard Miss Mosha and Joanna. They've provided a background of key issues which vitiates the investors to invest in the SMEs. But on my side, I would like to know, apart from what they've said, what else do you think makes Tanzanians to want to invest into real estate, treasury securities, and other listed investing directly instead of investing directly in the businesses? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, moderator, for a very good question. And thank you, former presenters. You have presented very well the issue that we're articulating on. Directly to the question, yes, I believe that investors are not avoiding MSMEs because maybe they dislike them, but they are avoiding uncertainties. These investors can tolerate risk, but they struggle with uncertainty. That's a major challenge. And these traditional investments, they provide more information, more regulations, and more predictable outcomes. Now, the challenge is therefore not the availability of capital, but the availability of investable businesses. So to sum up with this question, the issue of safety, transparency, it has already been spoken by other speakers. The issue of experience, these are the major challenges that prompt most investors to focus on traditional investment than venturing into these MSMEs. Yeah, so this is my contribution. Thank you.
Another question. You've already said that these things that the SMEs are lacking, and sometimes maybe they do not know. What do you think, Mr. Goodhope? Sorry, what do you think that these small business owners that they should do in order to improve? Sometimes it might be a matter of understanding, knowing a way to go about, because we know all these people with small businesses or medium ventures, sometimes they have an idea, but they do not know where to start. What do you think that it should be done for them, maybe to improve or to know all these things that you, Miss Joanna, Miss Anamwasha, and you have mentioned?
Okay, thank you, moderator. To address that question, my belief is on the improvement of governance, as other former speakers have just mentioned. The governance is not that promising. When an investor comes and maybe find the owner makes all major decisions, there's no proper governance, then that's a very big challenge. And in accounting perspective, we say there should be a separate legal entity between the owner and the business. But when you find that the owner and the business are all the same, then there comes a very big problem, and investors will not find it worthy investing in a business like that. So once they improve the governance, put proper governance structure, I think this will at least encourage investors to believe that, yes, I can invest in this venture and my money won't get lost that easily. And the issue of financial reporting is very key and crucial. And yes, in my experience as a consultant over 20 years, you find most of these small businesses do not prepare their financial accounts. Even when it comes to the issue of compliance or tax payments, most of the time you find the tax authority will, yes, they come to audit the company, they don't have proper financial statement, then even the tax is estimated and not based on financial statements. So if they can improve on financial reporting, where they can have all their revenue recorded very well and all their expense recorded very well, and then they can know how much is their profits, then certainly even the tax authority will know how much is their profit and how much is tax, rather than they just go there, they find no any financial statement, they just estimate their taxes. So if they can improve on financial reporting, this can also encourage investors to find it worthy investing in these MSMEs. Because once an investor wants to invest in a particular company, would want to know whether this company is promising, is profitable, and there is sustainability. In the absence of financial statement, then investors are scared. They cannot trust investing their money there because they don't see the progress of the business. So if they can improve on this, it can help them get more investors, I believe. As the other speaker have spoken about, I think the lawyer, the issue of formalization, most of them are not that formal, and that's why you find they have a lot of compliance issues. They are running business as business as usual. They don't want to formalize the businesses. And then this again is another challenge when maybe the investor wants to invest in that particular institution, become hesitant because they are not that formal. So this is what I believe, that if they can do on these things, then it can even improve increase the confidence of investors to invest in these ventures. I don't know whether I've addressed the question as the way you expected. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Goodhope. That was perfect. That was so insightful. I see Miss Anna has raised her hand. I would welcome her to speak.
Thank you. I just wanted to add to what Good Hope said. So over the years, I'm seeing two things as well that are very important. So one, articulating the problem very well. So I think investors buy into a story as much as they buy into the business. So as the founder, it's very important that you're able to articulate exactly what you're solving for, who you're solving, what inspired it, what you see. Like you have to carry that story and own it. But the founder story is also very important. So as the founder, you're the representative of the entity, especially at this level. So what is your story? What are your convictions? Why did you choose this? What have you done in the past? What have you achieved? How have you handled failure? Where did this start? Like, I think a really good story really helps in attracting the right people, in addition to what my fellow panelists have said. So yeah, I think I just wanted to add to that bit. Thank you.
Miss Anna. We have Miss Saumu, and I have a question for her. In in spite of maybe you find someone owning maybe a small business, and they wish someone to invest to them. What do you think are the biggest challenges that these SMEs faces when trying to access growth capital? You might find someone who is like they have all these financial statements, they are prepared, they are formally registered, but they just find they find challenges in growing their capital. So what do you think are the key factors or the key challenges which hinders these people with MSMEs grow their capital? To you, Miss Saumu.
Good evening.
Yeah.
I would say the biggest issue with SMEs is the financial history, or it's very difficult to get funding, mainly because of the financial history. And even my business at the beginning, the biggest issue which forced me to use internal funds and internal means of funding the business was lack of collateral. And most SMEs don't have collateral. They might have a very good business idea and a very good proposal, but they do not have any backing in financial history or collateral of any kind. So I believe the traditional funders are keen on only big entities which can provide those, and I feel like SMEs have been ignored in that aspect. So, and also another big issue is, as Joanna said, it's the formalization of SMEs. Many of them are operating as single-handed business or family business, so there is no documentation, they do not understand anything to do with taxation or registration. And I would suggest to have more mentorship on that aspect, to allow SMEs to acquire these funds, because we can say that for example, for my business, I require collateral to give funds to anyone. That means I'm already eliminating all these small businesses that don't have collateral or don't have any financial history, or they don't have any proper paperwork and support. So I think we need a lot of mentorship and support for this aspect, and not just the big entities. I hope I've answered your question.
You have answered my question. Thank you, Ms. Saumu. How long do you think a person should have maybe an experience for them to be invested in, for the business to be invested in? Because you've said we have a financial history. Some of these business owners, they lack collaterals. So how do we help these people? How do we help these people to get funds for their capital to grow? Because they have to move from one point to another.
We should first start with mentorship. We need training for SMEs. We need to teach them what's needed for them to be attractive or to be able to get funding of any sort. Many of them really do have great ideas, but they do not know or do not understand how the whereabouts on how to be trustworthy, to be able to be given the funds. A good idea is not good enough if your paperwork does not look trustworthy, or history. And I don't think you need to be in business for many years, 10, 5 years, but at least you should, the proposal, the project should look profitable, or the funding has to see some potential. And we need to help SMEs to look potential. Most of them, many of them don't. They just have an idea and they want someone to fund it without any background or any financial breakdown on how the funds will come back. They just know, I want to open one business and I want it today. I need 10 million. And I don't think there's any sensible funder who would give their money without any sort of understanding how the business will work. And that's where the biggest problem is. We need more mentorship, we need more training, we need more understanding for the SMEs.
Thank you so much, Ms. Somu. So you mean that you need to have something, you need to have a starting point for an investor to be attracted to you, for them to invest in your business?
Yes, and I would say sometimes no. If it's a complete new idea, at least show some breakdown on return on investment. Or that would help an investor think about investing in your business, especially if it's a complete new idea, you've never operated and you don't have any background. So show some sort of return on investment. And that's where most of SMEs lack. They do not know how to present that. They do not know how to break this down and show. That's where I come with mentorship and training.
Thank you so much, Ms. Somu. I see Ms. Joanna has raised her hand. You're welcome. Say something.
Thank you, Agnes. I just want to add there on what Salm has talked about mentorship. Well, like she said, the investor, when they want to come invest, they have to see that you have skin in the game, that you have a strategic plan. What is your business going to be doing? Yes, you have a great idea, but how are you going to put that idea from paper, from the concept to realization? Now, let's put it in a very, like when I talked about skin in the game, let me break it down in a very simple way. You have a wedding you want to conduct. It's your wedding. Usually in our culture, I hope most of you are Tanzanian. Maybe you'll be understanding what I'm saying. If not, then let me introduce you to what Tanzanians do. So what we do, you have a wedding, people will ask you first, what do you have? What are you going to contribute? Because we do crowdfunding when it comes to weddings. So you have to have skin in the game. You don't just expect people to come in, investors to come in and invest in you. If you yourself are not ready to invest in that business that you have, in that idea that you have, what is it that you're going to put or inject into so that the investor comes in and sees that you've already done something, you have proof of concept, you have already have a scalable business and they are coming in. And that's where we see that transition again towards private equity. So what MSMEs need to be doing right now is looking at what kind of strategies can they inject into their business to be able to be investor ready. So what kind of systems can they put in place? And here you need to be able, back to what Saum said, have mentorship. So, but also be able to invest in legal consultants, in financial consultants, like Good Hope mentioned. When it comes to taxation and reporting, you need to be able to comply with what the laws are. Like in Tanzania, we have so much compliance to deal with. So if you don't necessarily deal with a legal consultant to be able to guide you, there are some things that your business would miss. And at the end of the day, you would find that you are penalized and then you have a bad record again when it comes to investors, because serious investors will do their due diligence. And when they do their due diligence, they find that you're not investor ready, so they wouldn't inject money. So make sure that you comply as an MSME, you comply towards whatever the laws have stated, so that when due diligence is conducted, you are able to have a clean record to be able to, for investors to come and invest. And that's my contribution.
Thank you so much, Miss Joanna. We have two questions in our chat. And the first one is, what is missing currently in the ecosystem to make these MSMEs investable? I would like to welcome Mr. Goodluck, and then I will welcome other panelists for additional from what Mr. Goodhope will say.
Yeah, thank you, moderator, for a very good question. And thank you, all speakers. You have spoken very well. And in my views, I believe to have a very good, successful ecosystem, It's the one that bring young entrepreneurs with those with good idea and those who can fund them. So perhaps I was wondering whether maybe the government could come up with something that links up the two, those angel investors and the young entrepreneur who know nothing. You have heard from other speakers that most of them don't know the laws, they are facing compliance challenges, they don't know how to prepare their financial statements. So by virtue of that, you find even investors are scared to invest in the venture that don't have proper accounting records, do not comply with tax laws, don't comply with other laws. As the Joanna said, there are a lot of compliance issues down here in Tanzania. So I think there should be like a hub, I don't know how I can call it, where maybe these investors, maybe they can link up together with these young entrepreneurs, whether maybe it's a hub or like an investment center, something that specifically or categorically deals with these entrepreneurs and those who can fund them. So perhaps anyone who wants to to invest in these small businesses can just go to that hub or investment center and maybe meet anyone that he or she feels can deal with. Perhaps this is what I think. The absence of a common pool or a place where these two can meet up, then this problem might persist for a long time. And they also need mentorship, as the former speakers have just spoken about. They need mentorship, they need a lot of training. They also have to be trained on how they can comply with laws, those kind of things, they can prepare their financial statement. We don't want them to be expert in prepare financial statement, maybe as per IFRS requirements whatsoever. They can just be given like a template where they know how to fit in their revenues, their expenses, just to get the profit or loss statement first. In the first place, even when like maybe they need to hire experts, the job won't be that tasky because an expert will just come and just do the wrapping up because this entrepreneur, maybe they already know how to, record their revenues, how to record their expenses. And if it's just an Excel template, then they can feed in the revenue, feed in the expense, then the profit or loss comes automatically. Then even when maybe they hire an expert to come and try to wrap it up, it becomes easier than, starting from the raw, information. So this is what I think. If there should be like some sort of a hub or a link or an investment center specifically meant for these small young entrepreneurs and the investors. So an investor can just go down to that hub or investment center and then, choose whoever maybe he or she feels like he is comfortable to work with. This is what I think. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Goodhope. Ms. Mwasha, apart from us having or as Tanzania having a hub or an investment center which has to maybe do all the mentorship trainings, what else do you think should be done in order to make all these MSMEs work in this ecosystem?
Well, I will borrow from my profession. So I'm a banker. And I think if we want MSMEs to compete for the same capital as treasury bonds and other asset classes, then the best thing we could do is bring it to as best as we can, bring it close to mirror other investable assets. So how do we make sure that the compliance, to what my fellow panelists have said, whether it's the compliance, whether it's the paperwork, whether it's the governance, so structure it such that it's almost a comparable, much as we accept that it's a different asset class altogether and maybe a bit more riskier, but how does it compare to other asset classes such that when an investor is looking at it, they almost think like, okay, I have this, and I'm going to take more risk on this because I know I expect more, or I am more invested in seeing companies in my country develop, and I believe in this vision. So I would say the mentorship helps, the point of like a center of excellence helps, but I think also just on the governance, trying to make it comparable, so it's not that you're throwing money into a pit, right? So if I have 10,000 shillings, I should say, okay, it makes sense for me to invest here because I have seen this, I know there is governance, I know that there's paper trail, I know that, so yeah, that would be my addition.
Thank you, Miss Anna. I have a question for Miss Saum, since she's dealing with this microfinance and everything. Maybe there is a person in this webinar right now listening, and they are scared to allow the investors to invest into their businesses because they're not sure of how many or how much percent they're going to get out of their businesses. Can you tell us, as per your experience, how much percent the investors, when they invest their money into someone's business, how much percent should they take, and how much that is remaining to the person with the business? Miss Saumu?
Oh, thank you for the question.
Yeah.
I would give my personal experience. I have had proposals on investment. I've been wanting to expand, and my biggest issue has been how much of my business I should give out. And I've been very hesitant, mainly for the investors who want 50% and above. And it could be from fear, because if the total income is very big, 50% would be fine. But I was looking at it from the scale of my business, in the sense that I started this with my personal funds back in 2023, 2022. So now in 2026, I've been able to more than double the capital. And I'm working on expanding even further because I have more potential customers than the capital or the money that I'm lending out. But I'm not very comfortable with giving out 50%. So I think from my business point of view, it's not fair to want 50% of a business, especially if the business is already lucrative like mine. I would understand for beginning or starting business, that would be very okay to want it up to 40, 30%. But 50%, whether it's a starting business or it's an already working well business, I don't think that's a fair break now.
Thank you so much, Miss Saumu. Speaking of that, I would like to ask Miss Joanna, legally wise, what do you think when should be done, and or how can these people, the MSMEs, these small business owners, how can they protect themselves legally wise? I know they might enter into contracts, but as we say, like, most of these people, they do not know all these formal ways of formalizing their businesses and things like that. So legally wise, how can we protect these small businesses owners when an investors invest into their businesses? For Miss Joanna.
Thank you for your question. Well, whenever I like to advise my clients as well when we're doing any transactions, when you're getting into it, remember how to get out. So exit mechanisms are super important, because in the beginning, we're all excited and we want to do something big, and the investor is ready to invest and they have the money that they want to inject. So you're all excited and you're only thinking about getting the deal done, but you're not thinking about the expectations that each of you should have. So the expectations have to be made clearly. They have to be well documented so that to reduce any amount of disputes, so that everything has to be clear when it comes to whatever you're putting into the business. So you already, let's assume you have an existing business. What is the intellectual property that you have? What is the capital that you've already injected? What are the skills that you have? So it has to be clear who is bringing what to the table and who is taking what out of the table. So it has to be clear. What is the capital contributions have to be clear. What are the profit mechanisms? Liability as well has to be clear. What are the dispute resolution mechanisms? How are the reporting structures? How is governance going to be done? Who is doing what? It has to be very clear to reduce the amount of disputes that can happen. So I would advise anyone who is entering into, or these MSMEs who already want maybe investors to come in, it is very, very crucial to have someone who is already knowledgeable on these matters, especially legal counsels. Most people would just like, these days, technology has been, people have been leveraging the use of technology, and you find clients, they come up to you like, oh, I've already drafted a contract through ChatGPT and I want you to review it. Just stamp it. But come on, I have 10 years of experience in legal practice. I understand how and what clauses need to be in a contract. You don't. And ChatGPT doesn't as well, because I mean, it's a language model. It's continuing to learn someone. So I think it's very, very crucial to have the proper advice. And what most business persons that I've seen in Tanzania as well, from my experience, they are so afraid to invest in getting external counsel, getting legal advice. They would much rather find ways around it rather than paying for proper counsel that will enable them to be able to protect themselves. At the end of the day, they come into a problem, and that's when they start seeking help. It's the same, even I think Good Hope can share when it comes to taxation as well. Until someone is bitten, then they realize that, oh, I needed to prevent, instead of understanding that you need at least to invest and spend money, make sure you get the proper advice, make sure that you are protected from all levels, so that in case of anything, especially for instance, when it comes to investment in areas, maybe creatives, you have something that a great idea, you have intellectual property you need to protect, but you don't even understand that you need to protect that. You need to trademark your product. You need to copyright your ideas. So all this you will only have if you have the proper legal advice. But we're afraid to spend money. So at the end of the day, you find yourself that you're not able to protect yourself just because you didn't want to spend money. So we should. I want to say this in Swahili, but I guess maybe there are other people who won't understand Swahili. Tuogope vitu vya bure. Like, let's be afraid of free things. Make sure that whatever you want to be done, whatever you want that is worthwhile, is expensive. So invest as well, so that you're able to protect yourself. That would be my contribution.
Thank you so much, Miss Joanna. This whole conversation, discussion has been so insightful. Our time is running. I mean, we only have 6 minutes, and I would like to welcome Miss Mwambanger if she has anything to say before we close our webinar. Thank you.
Now, I would like to welcome Ms. Tokumbo Ige. She's the founder of Togo Ban, Togo Business Angel. She's a serial entrepreneur. She has vast experience as an angel investor in Africa. Thank you. Ms. Tokumbo, please.
today to discuss a topic that lies at the heart of Tanzania's economic future, unlocking investment for our micro, small, and medium enterprises. Let me begin with a striking reality. Tanzania is home to over 3 million MSMEs, contributing between 27 and 35% of their GDP and employing more than 5 million people. These enterprises account for over 70% of employment in that economy. They are the engines of job creation, the backbone of local communities, and the seedbeds of innovation. Yet here is the paradox. Despite their critical role, nearly 81% of Tanzanian MSMEs lack access to finance. Women-owned or led MSMEs face an even steeper climb, with a staggering 1.7 billion USD financing gap. This is the missing middle. Too large for microfinance, too small or too risky for commercial banks, and traditional venture capital. But today, I bring you a message of hope. Across Tanzania, a new generation of African and international investors is rewriting their narrative through flexible, performance-linked financing models that reward results, not just rhetoric. Here, I am talking about business angels. So what are performance-linked models? Let me be clear about what we mean. Performance-linked finance is not charity. It's not a grant. It's smart capital that rewards enterprises, businesses for very variable social, environmental, and economic outcomes. Instead of simply providing a loan and hoping for the best, these models, which is at the core, the business angels, tie financial incentives to measurable impact, whether that means creating jobs for women, reducing carbon emissions, improving farmer livelihoods, or expanding access to healthcare. This approach does three things. It de-risks investment for cautious lenders. Secondly, it incentivizes entrepreneurs to maximize their impact. And thirdly, it proves that doing good and doing well are not mutually exclusive. So, let me highlight four groundbreaking initiatives. Groundbreaking initiatives that are making this vision a reality in Tanzania. First, there's the Daraja Impact Fund, which was launched in 2023 by the Swiss Development Agency with 10 million Swiss francs. And the Daraja Impact provides flexible impact-linked financing to Tanzania's SMEs, and it's implemented in partnership with Alpha Mundi Foundation. This 5-year project offers both capital and technical assistance, with ticket size ranging from $50,000 to $250,000. The fund has already invested in 10 companies, over 1/3 of which are women-led, and has mobilized nearly 10 million from other investors. From Golden Pot, a woman-led enterprise sourcing from over 1,000 female farmers to produce fortified food products, to the Recycler, expanding women-led waste-to-cash centers. These are not abstract investments. They're real businesses that are changing lives. Secondly, you have the Fungo Innovation Program, which is implemented by UNDP Tanzania and funded by the European Union and other members of the Union, the UK government, I believe. Fungo has catalyzed sustainable growth for 74 Tanzanian enterprises, channeling over 6.5 billion Tanzanian shillings into innovative impact ventures. 30% of these businesses are women-led or founded. Fungo combines catalytic grant funding with technical training, mentorship, and policy advocacy. As one of UNDP's deputy res rep said, John Rutte said, investing in innovation is investing in the Tanzania's future. Now, beyond these, you also have the ADB and Afri-Exim Bank Tanzania, who are also involved in this type of financing. Why is this important for us as business angels? For those of us that are Tanzania, let me be direct. The traditional model of collateral-based lending excludes the very businesses that drive our African economies. So performance-linked models offer a better path, lower risk through verified outcomes, clearer measurement of impact, and alignment of financial returns with social progress. And the numbers are beginning to speak for themselves all over the place, even including in Tanzania, where in 2025, in the third quarter, the research shows that Tanzania recorded a GDP growth of 6.4%, and the National Financial Inclusion Index increased from 0.69 to 0.81 within a single year. So, because the government is also aligning its Vision 2050 to prioritize innovation and entrepreneurship, there is an enabling environment that is developing in Tanzania. And it is time, therefore, for those of us, especially in business angels, to move in to support the closing of the gap between what traditional investors have at their disposal and the reality that our emerging SMEs are facing. So I want to leave you with this challenge. Whether you're a development partner, a commercial investor, a policymaker, an entrepreneur, you have a role to play. And it is important that all of us are able to find a way to work together to blend the financing models in Tanzania and in our other African countries. We as business angels, especially members of the World Business Angels Investment Forum, are open. We have catalytic funds in different countries. And in Tanzania, I am sure that it is also possible to create a basket funding where all of us can come together and ensure that we move from rhetoric to reality. So to our fellow investors, please look beyond traditional metrics, embrace outcomes-based financing, partner with business angels, funds and programs that I've already described. And to entrepreneurs, measure your impact, prove your results, show the world that Tanzanian innovation can compete and win on any stage. And to our policymakers, continue creating the enabling environment. The crowdfunding guidelines that you have set, they are a start, but we need more enabling policies to make actors like business angels also work progressively and with measurable impact. And to all of us, members of the World Business Angels family and business angels from other horizons, let us recognize that unlocking business investment in Tanzania is not just about capital. It's about dignity. It's about opportunity. It's about support. It's about building an economy where every young person with a dream, every woman with a vision, and every community with a need can access the resources to turn that potential into prosperity. The tools are here. The business angels are here. Our models are proven. The time is now. Thank you. Asante sana. It's an honor to stand before you today to discuss a topic that lies at the heart of.
Thank you very much, Ms. Olutokunbo Ige. Just a quick reminder, she gave us very key points for the Tanzania climate, the Tanzania ecosystem, that the policies need to go further than the current crowdfunding that we have to make them more sustainable, more investable, for the linkages between the investors and the investees, as Dr. Goodhope also spoke about, having maybe a center that these policies can be implemented or the linkage can happen. She also talks about the collaboration between entrepreneurs, investors, the government, and other policy makers and all stakeholders, that we need the ecosystem to come together in order to make business investing favorable in Tanzania. With that, I would like to also welcome our keynote from Mr. Beba Sautuntas, the Executive Chairman of the WBAF. Thank you.
Dear Presidents, Prime Ministers, ministers, country chairs and co-chairs, distinguished partners, and dear participants. As chair of the World Business Angels Investment Forum, an affiliated partner of the G20 Global Partnership for Financial Inclusion, it is my great honor to welcome you to World Business Angel Investors Week 2026, a global celebration of entrepreneurship, innovation, and collaboration. In an increasingly interconnected world, entrepreneurship has evolved into one of the most powerful forces for economic growth, job creation, and social progress. Yet, for entrepreneurship to truly reach its full potential, it must be available to everyone, regardless of gender, geography, income level, or social background. This year's theme, fostering diversity and inclusion in entrepreneurship, building stronger business ecosystems to increase financial inclusion, reflects our shared belief that inclusive ecosystems are not only more inclusive, but also more innovative, adaptive, and sustainable. As we have witnessed in past years, the World Business Angel Investors Week serves as a unique global platform that connects entrepreneurs, investors, policymakers, educators, and thought leaders across borders and industries. The collaborative spirit that shaped last year's program demonstrates how partnerships can advance innovation and sustainable development worldwide. Today, we take that commitment even further by placing diversity and inclusion at the very center of our efforts. Diversity is not simply a social aspiration, it's an economic necessity. When we empower women entrepreneurs, support youth-led innovation, and enable underserved communities to participate in the startup economy, we unlock new sources of creativity and growth. Diverse perspectives lead to better solutions, stronger businesses, and more competitive economies. However, millions of entrepreneurs around the world still face significant barriers to accessing capital, mentorship, and professional networks. These barriers limit opportunity, slow innovation, and widen economic inequality. Removing these barriers is essential if we are to build stronger and more inclusive business ecosystems. Financial inclusion remains the cornerstone of this mission. Access to finance, particularly early-stage equity capital, enables entrepreneurs to transform ideas into scalable ventures. But capital alone is not enough. Entrepreneurs also require education, mentorship, market access, and supportive policy environments. Strong business ecosystems bring these essential elements together. They create pathways for entrepreneurs to grow, for investors to discover promising ventures, and for communities to benefit from sustainable economic development. In line with this commitment, WeBev continues to enhance entrepreneurial ecosystems through the World Chamber of Entrepreneurs for Economic Development, WENCHAM, a brand new global initiative of WeBev designed to connect entrepreneurs, investors, institutions, and policymakers under a unified framework. Through or undeserved entrepreneurs. Throughout this week, through conferences, workshops, and roundtable discussions, we will explore how governments, financial institutions, and angel investors can collaborate to expand access to finance and empower inclusive entrepreneurial ecosystems. No country can build inclusive entrepreneurship alone. In today's digital age, innovation transcends borders. A startup in one nation can serve customers across continents, and investors can support entrepreneurs thousands of kilometers away. This interconnected reality calls for greater collaboration, shared knowledge, and coordinated action. World Business Angel Investors Week provides a global platform where nations, institutions, and entrepreneurs come together to exchange ideas, share experiences, and build partnerships that foster inclusive growth. Entrepreneurship is not only about economic growth, it is about empowerment. Inclusive entrepreneurship creates jobs, supports innovation, and empowers communities. It enables individuals to turn ambition into opportunity and transform local ideas into global solutions. Throughout this week, I invite each of you to reflect on how you can contribute to fostering diversity and inclusion within your own entrepreneurial ecosystems. Whether through policy reform, investment strategies, education programs, or mentorship initiatives, every action counts. I extend my sincere gratitude to our country chairs and co-chairs, our global partners, organizing committees, speakers and participants. Your dedication and leadership make this global movement possible. As we begin World Business Angel Investors Week 2026, let's reaffirm our commitment to diversity, inclusion, and financial inclusion. Let's work together to build stronger business ecosystems that empower entrepreneurs everywhere in the world. Together, we are building not only businesses, but inclusive economies, thriving societies, and a more prosperous future for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, our chairman, Mr. Bebas Altuntas. As we come to the end of today's event, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all our speakers, panelists, partners, and participants for making this conversation both meaningful and impactful. My sincere appreciation goes to our keynote speaker, Tokumbo Ige, for sharing valuable insights from across Africa and challenging us to think differently about how capital can be deployed to support business growth. I would also like to thank our distinguished panelists, Ms. Anna Mwasha, Dr. Good Hope Mkaro, Ms. Saumu Wenget, Ms. Joanna McIntyre, for sharing their expertise and practical perspective on investing in Tanzania's MSMEs. I hope today's event has sparked curiosity, encouraged learning, and inspired more people to explore business investing as part of Tanzania's growing entrepreneurial ecosystem. This conversation does not end today, it's only the beginning. I invite you all, investors, entrepreneurs, professionals, ecosystem partners, to continue engaging with us as we work together to build a stronger, more connected early stage capital ecosystem in Tanzania. Thank you again for joining us and for being part of the Angel Investors Week Tanzania flagship. I wish you all a wonderful evening, and I look forward to continuing this journey together. Thank you very much.